GIMI joining. This is a meeting basically that we wanted to have in the framework of different meetings to make our members aware of their benefits. And we will talk today about the International Journal of Innovation and Science as one of the most important assets, basically, that this network, I would say, and membership has. What we'll cover today is, first of all, what's the objective and deliverable of this meeting, what is this journal, and we will allow definitely our distinguished founders of this journal to talk about that, how you can access this as a member, how to basically publish different papers, basically, or scientific articles, Q&A for everyone who is interested, basically, to access the journal, to understand how it works. And in the end, we have a feedback survey, which is in general about the members, and the next steps, how we can help you get more seamless access in this. The objective, as I mentioned, is to create awareness on how to use the journal and also to increase the research activity and collective thought leadership from the members. We know that we have lots of academics in our network or aspiring academics, so definitely it's our pleasure to help you and support you in this journey. Allow me to introduce basically two distinguished, I would say, thought leaders and experts that we have as part of GIMI IUIP. Brett Trusco, who has been the ex-president of IUIP, but also the co-editor-in-chief and the founder of this important journal, and Rodrigo Lobo, who is as well the co-editor-in-chief and a distinguished professor in the University of Montana. Welcome, Brett, and welcome, Rodrigo, and thank you very much for joining us and helping us today.
Thank you, Rilla.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So first of all, we'll start with the part of the journal. So I would like to start with Brett. And Brett, please, can you give us a little bit more, illuminate us about what is this journal? How did it start? Basically, what's the aim and the scope? What are some results about it? Feel free to share with us.
Sure. The journal kind of came out of...
Yes, we can. I was about to go. I'm just...
There we go. The journal kind of started out from one of my previous jobs before I became a professor. I was a partner at KPMG. And I had global responsibility for everything having to do with Six Sigma, business process reengineering, lean, etc. And I had left consulting and gone to my first professor's job. And I had a little free time on my hands because consultants work a few more hours than professors. But many of us professors, we fill up our time with other pursuits. And at the time, I was basically, this would have been 2007, I was watching TV. And literally, a fruit company, which shall remain nameless, said they were the most innovative fruit company in the world. And I said, how can a fruit company be innovative? And I was really concerned that the term innovation was just being thrown about as, hey, I have ideas, so therefore I'm innovative, or et cetera, et cetera. Well, what I had discovered in Six Sigma was nobody had grabbed Six Sigma as their own. ASQ, kind of. But what started to happen was pretty much everybody was offering a certification in Six Sigma. If I felt like I vaguely knew how to spell Six Sigma, I would start a certification organization or a certification class, and all of a sudden everybody would be black belts, whether or not they actually knew anything about Six Sigma. I was concerned that that was going to happen in innovation. We didn't have legitimate certifying bodies. Frankly, the IOIP didn't start till 2013, so I hadn't necessarily thought about a certifying body as much as we need to find out if there is a scientific best way to do something as simple as a brainstorming session. And that's where the academic journal came in, was trying to capture work that people had done, scientifically supportable results. And that was now, would have been 16 years ago. So it's been a long road.
Thank you, Brett. And here there are some basically results so far about the journal. So feel free, Brett and Rodrigo, to share a little bit more about this. What does this mean?
Okay, I'll start this and then I'll let Rodrigo finish it. So in the beginning, people sent me papers. I found people to review them. I found somebody to print it. It was a real pain in the neck. I think we published 20 papers the first year. Over time, we found an open source paper submission system. We found a publisher. The publisher, interesting enough, about 6 years ago, sold the journal to Emerald for $1. Now, even though I founded it, I didn't get any of that money. And I let them keep the dollar anyways. Now we really are up to the 237 published articles is incorrect. If you actually go into the database, there's closer to 700 published articles in there.
Well, but Brett, just sorry to interrupt there. 237 is actually correct since 2020. So it
Okay.
doesn't count all the way. We are at about, yes, 700 to 800.
And that is all in the database. So because of GIMI, IOIP, those manuscripts are all available for free. Typically, if you go online, you'll find out those are about $40 each. So if you take 700 times 40, do the math, that's a real benefit that you receive by being a GIMI member. When we get to the statistics, for those of you who know statistics around journals, we really are the top innovation journal in the world at the moment. And that's due in no large part to Rodrigo coming on a couple of years ago. I mean, Rodrigo was an associate editor for a long time, but he did such a great job as associate editor that, I mean, technically I'm kind of becoming emeritus in a few days, and Rodrigo has taken over the day-to-day activities. He's doing an amazing job, probably better than I ever did. But there's a lot of volume there. There's a lot of papers in the database for you. So if you're, even if you're not an academic, you can go into that database, and I am almost certain you can find a paper that you can cite in your own work, on your publications, in your presentations, or just take to your boss. Rodrigo.
Yeah, that is exactly the context. And what I would like to compliment in what you said is, yes, while the journal is really meaningful for academics, it is also very meaningful for industry. For example, I'm working myself in a large project with an oil and gas company, a global company, on the incorporation of ESG components into the TCO calculation, the total cost of ownership in green and sustainable supply chains. And there's a significant interest from industry in publishing this type of innovation, this type of advancement in their models. So our journal is an important outlet for that. And as Brett said, we passed traditional outlets that are out there, and for academics, our impact factor is really relevant. We are at 4.7 for 3 years and 4.6 for 40 years, which is very good. We are a solid runner-up. Emerald does a good job as a publisher in terms of advertising the journal and getting more credibility, as Emerald is one of the top scientific publishers that are out there. We do have an average of 200 plus 220 annual submissions, but this year is expected to pass 300. So we are moving up really quickly, and we should publish 60 manuscripts this year. So yes, we are very well positioned in terms of innovation, as we focus essentially not in the outcome of the innovation in a product or service or model or whatever, but how innovation happens. That is the process that leads to innovation. And we are the first outlet to address innovation as a science. So this is really significant for both academics and industry.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo and Brett, for addressing that. And definitely, please feel free, anybody, to ask questions in the chat, and we have a Q&A session only about this. I'd like to go to the next part, which Gabriela can help us, which is how to access. Now, some of you are paid members, some are about to become, and we would like to show you how you can really access this journal. Gabriela?
Hi, everyone. I think most of you know me. So I just want to give you a how to access the journal. I don't know if everyone has gotten the chance to do that yet, but I think this is the perfect opportunity given that we are accompanied by both of our co-editors in chief. So every paid member that has access to TradeWing has access to the journal. So as you can see right here in the screen, how you do that is you log into your TradeWing GIMI IYP portal. And once you log in, the frame you'll see is the larger one over there, which is your general board. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a miscellaneous tab. If you click that tab, you'll see the International Journal of Innovation Science external link, which is going to take you to the Emerald site. So I'm going to send, I just sent the link for the TradeWing where you can log in the chat. So you can try that now, you can try that later, but Eddie, can you just go to the next slide, please? So what you need to do is log in, make sure you're in the main feed and go to the miscellaneous tab. Right now, we're experiencing a small glitch in which if you go through Safari, it should work fine. If you go through Google Chrome, Firefox, all of the other search engines, it's not going to recognize your association with GIMI TradeWing if you do it once. If you go back and do it again, so if you access the journal twice, it's going to recognize and authenticate your login information. So maybe we can just take a few minutes to try that. And if you have any issues with your TradeWing login or the link, let me know. And I will reach out to our IT team and make sure you can access it at least by the end of the meeting or a couple minutes after, so you can access all of the information that Rodrigo and Brett are talking and telling you about right now and experience all of the benefits for yourselves. So maybe we can just take a couple of minutes, Eddie?
Well, I can talk while people are doing it if you can still hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
While you're trying it out, for those of you who are not academics, we have something that's called a double-blind review. And what this means is that every paper has to be reviewed by two people who remain anonymous to the author. And so the people who review it don't know who the author is. The author doesn't know who reviewed it. And this creates legitimacy in the academic process to say, this paper's been read. For those of you who are not in academia, what'll happen a lot of times, you'll submit a paper, it'll be double-blind reviewed, you'll get 10, 15, 20, 100 comments of things that, you haven't supported this, or where's the citation for this or that, or et cetera. And it goes through an iteration process, sometimes as many as 6 times. It'll get sent back and forth between the associate editor and the author. So it's all the papers are very legitimate. It's not, with the exception of editorials, of course, and even case studies should be looked at by the editor. But that's one of the things we want more of, is more case studies.
Yeah, just a quick comment on case studies. It is now going through the regular double-blinded peer review standard. So case studies are peer reviewed as well.
But for anybody who's been in college recently or whatever, case studies are a big deal. And that's one of the things that we wish we would get more of. And from a GIMI member, if you're not an academic, but your company has done something really amazing in the innovation space, to write it up and to submit it gets you an academically published paper, whether you care about academia or not. And so it's neat. It gets your company recognized that you're doing something interesting, good work, and it's considered legitimate, not just somebody writing in a magazine.
Thank you, Brett and Rodrigo. In the meantime, that you are trying, and definitely we will have some next steps to explain you basically what's the process. And after this meeting, you can always send an email to Gabriela to get some help about accessing it. I'd like to move to an important part, in particular here also with Rodrigo, and if we have Brett, would be great as well, about how you can publish. They started to talk a little bit about this, but I see that there are several requests from our network of partners and our academics, how they can publish in this journal. So we'd like to clarify a little bit more the process, how you can publish. Rodrigo?
Yes, thank you, Erila. And as Brett said, we follow the peer review standard, going with double-blinded, which means at least 2 reviewers for each submission to assure the academic and scientific legitimacy for the submission, for the research work. But the journal is not addressing scholars only, not academics only. As Brett said, it is a very relevant tool for industry that allows you access to what is going on out there, which is both academic and scientific legitimate for what you are doing. To give you an overview of the process, yes, this flow shows it, very summarized, but it shows it. We have essentially 4 instances of approval for a manuscript, okay, when you have a submission. The first one is from the editor-in-chief. Well, I'm not even counting the pre-review screening, okay, when a submission is done out of standards and so on. Then when it gets to the editor will make an initial analysis and can desk reject or approve the submission for peer review. Then an associate editor is assigned, and the associate editor, that's the second instance, can also desk reject, say, okay, even though the editor-in-chief has approved, I consider this is not suitable for this, and this reasons, and then don't move forward or doesn't move forward in the peer review process. If the submission passed those 2 instances, then the associate editor selects 2 reviewers. Well, as Brett said, the reviewers don't know who the authors are, and the authors don't know who the reviewers are. And this is what assures the legitimacy. In the academic world, scholar world, this is a very common standard. Then, in order to be accepted for publication, the manuscript, the submission, needs to accept recommendations from the reviewers. Okay, what is very common is in between this process, the reviewers go through the whole submission and say, okay, this is good, but your methodology is not very clear, the data you use not very clear, or what type of analysis you develop, things like that, and they will put that together in a recommendation for revisions. Then the manuscript goes back to the editor and to the authors that make the adjustments based on the recommendations and resubmit. Once both reviewers are satisfied, they check and say, okay, I recommend this for publication. Once we have 2 recommendations, the editor can still, hey, you know what, question that and require additional adjustments to assure the legitimacy. But let's say both editors, both associate and editor-in-chief, approve the recommendation, then we go to the 4th instance, which is the JEO, the Journal Editorial Office. And that's more towards compliance and things like that. There are things out there that are, unethical practices, predatory practices, and so on. And then Emerald compliance is really strong, rigid, and inflexible about that. When you have what is called UAR, unusual activity, related to the submission, then a red flag is raised and we block the whole process, which means it doesn't go through. So it is a very thorough process, very rigorous, follows the requirements of science, and it is an awesome tool for industry because it keeps you updated on what is going there. We follow the most rigorous double-blinded peer review standard.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Any thing regarding the benefits for authors in this journal?
Yes, there are many, not only for authors, but for the community itself, particularly for authors. The first one, global visibility and reach. The outcome of your research will be visible to the world. And I know that is, well, particularly important for academics, scholars, on the, for example, the tenure process, promotions, and all that kind of stuff, but also for industry to advertise what they are doing. There are many, many professional conferences out there. I work closely together with oil and gas, and there are multiple conferences around the world. We do have a high quality peer review, as I just explained, so we follow the rigorous double-blinded peer review standard, academic recognition and credibility. Main ideas on innovation, or a lot, significant parts of the ideas come from academia, okay? And our outlet is an important form of recognition and gives the scientific and legitimacy, the scientific recognition and legitimacy for those ideas. Our journal.
If I could add on that, the recognition credibility, we're the highest. For those of you who don't know, impact factor, that's basically a ranking they give you. It's not real complicated, but we won't get into it now. It's significant. Anything above about 2.5 to 3, and considering it's only been in business for 15 years, we're on a faster pace than most academic journals for how important the journal is.
Indeed, and we passed outlets that have been around for more than 30, 35 years, and we are at the point at 4.7, which is very, very significant. Networking opportunities is great, not only in the journal community, but in the innovation community, as you are advertising essentially the outcome of your research, and you become known and therefore become part of multiple networks around the world. Impact and citation, as Brad said, and I just reinforced, yes, we are up there, and we are growing systematically. For those that are academics, in the CIMAGO ranking, we are a Q1, which means we are in the top quartile of outlets, of journals in our category. Contributions to the field really relevant as we focus primarily on innovation process. As I said in the beginning, the innovation outcome, while we recognize the importance, and that's the ultimate result of the innovation process, but we focus in how innovation happens. That is the process. How do firms, how do researchers, how do industry in general get there? And this is the main contribution to our field. So having access to our journal will keep you up to date with the state of the art in terms of research, in terms of innovation. Feedback and improvement. Once a manuscript is submitted, it goes, as I said, through the rigorous double-blinded peer review, which means an opinion is not accepted, okay? Everything must be substantiated with evidence and credible evidence. 75% of our publication are quantitative in nature, okay? So you have to go through the rigor of, the statistics and numbers, correlations, all the testing, all the kind of stuff to say, okay, one thing influences another thing. One thing is correlated to another thing. So that comes from the feedback of the review process that authors must comply with in order to be published. And it will give you finally access to the latest research. As Brett said in the beginning, we do have an amazing database that is worth a lot of money, actually. If you were to buy an individual submission, an individual manuscript, you can get in Emerald or any large credible publisher out there, you pay something between $40 and $50. And we have a database with, I don't even know, 700 to 800 manuscripts in there. So that will provide you a substantial background information on innovation process. So that is a great benefit that GIMI IOIP are offering to the members.
Thank you, Rodrigo and Brett. It was very comprehensive. I'd like now to open the floor for questions from the audience. Any questions around accessing it? Any questions around how to publish an article? Anything else you might want to do an event and actually you want to collaborate with a journal, because this is also for these, I would say, purposes, right? Might be an organization or a university and you want to host an innovation event, and sometimes there are these cases that they want to collaborate with this journal. Any questions?
Well, I do want to add, one of the things with as many papers as we get, we're always looking for more associate editors. However, we like you to come in as a reviewer first and prove that you'll actually do the work. It's because it's hard to find reviewers sometimes. But we find that good reviewers who will do 5 to 10 reviews and do them of good quality, we like to invite them as an associate editor. It's a lot of work to manage. Some of these people are managing 4 and 5 papers simultaneously. And for anyone who's ever done that, it's not easy, but you get the recognition. And as Rodrigo said, for tenure, promotions, et cetera, it's important.
Great. Actually, the call for action of Brett is quite relevant, because also in the survey that we'll do in the end, basically we are putting some of the initiatives that GIMI is running, and one of those, of course, is the journal. And these are all opportunities where you can volunteer, or you can participate, or you can lead. Jan is asking, as a non-academic, how challenging would it be to write a paper? Rodrigo, I believe it's for you.
Yeah, since we are ruled by the standards of our publisher, okay, and the standards of giving legitimacy for research outcome, both academic and non-academic are treated equally. Therefore, you have to go through the double-blinded peer review process. However, there are instances for that as well. For example, we have editorials, and editorials, well, as the word said, it goes through an editorial review only. It doesn't get to the peer review process. While it's not a peer review publication, it is a publication, okay? So some editorials are like point of views, are opinions from the authors, and that can be published. However, it goes through the editor that can say, okay, this is suitable or this is not suitable. It's essentially to see, okay, that's too far off. If that's too far off of known knowledge streams, then the editor may say, hey, you know what? Great that you have your opinion on this, but that's kind of a little off. But going through the editorial is a path. However, what I'm perceiving in my own experience is that more and more firms, industry, large, energy, including oil and gas, agriculture, automakers, and so on, they are going more and more into the peer review process, as it is an important flag in their hands, say, hey, this went through the double-blinded peer review. So the credibility is much bigger.
Jan, are you satisfied, or do you have follow-up?
Yeah, no, that was great. I kind of knew that was going to be the answer. So yeah, no, I was hoping that there might have been a magical route for non-academics. And I suppose that there's my sort of follow-up to that is there a way of matchmaking, sort of as a non-academic, can I partner with, how do I find a suitable academic to help me sort of co-author a paper?
Oh, interesting question. Rodrigo and I know who's publishing in what areas. We could certainly introduce you. But the hurdle is really, you remember from college, APA format. That's kind of it. As long as you've got solid citations and if you've got research involved, that you are able to statistically support your research and stuff. But no, I think between Rodrigo and I, we could help you find somebody if you needed a partner.
Indeed. And a key for us is your method, okay? How you're getting to your conclusions. And we put a really close magnifier on that, but the outcome will be closely related to the method that you are using. Yes, we like quantitative, but we don't disregard qualitative work as long as it's properly substantiated.
Super, thank you. I do have some experience. My wife has a PhD with 3 published papers, so I have
Okay.
Published with her.
secondary experience of the double blinds and reviews, etc.
Okay,
And-
excuse me all, but I have to leave for another meeting. But Rodrigo's got everything dealt with. He's the man in charge. So I'll see everyone later.
No worries, Brett. Thank you very much for the
Bye-bye.
contribution. Also another thing maybe, Rodrigo, which we have discussed that might serve also to Jan and other practitioners is that we already have discussed this. We have many practitioners as part of our network. So we're discussing with Rodrigo and trying to convince him if we can have a special edition, right, about case studies, which are more practical, where innovation managers can document their work and their learnings. So I think that is still part of the plans, Rodrigo.
Indeed, we do have multiple avenues in that direction, and having what we call a special issue is one of them. Okay, as long as we have a well-defined topic on that special issue, we can move forward with that. So that is a possibility. We do have another type of submission, which is called exactly practitioner's paper, okay, or practitioner's research that can be published as well. It is rigorous, but it is not quite as the formal double-blinded peer review process. A third thing is, as I said, the editorial, okay, which can be published virtually at any time, but that depends on the subject. As long as it brings something related to the innovation process, we'll look with very good eyes for that, okay? And another component is we can publish, for example, conference proceedings, okay? So if there is a professional conference, we can get in an agreement, a partnership with the conference. Well, we are already part of GIMI IOIP. We can publish the proceedings, and the proceedings are not going through the same peer review process as the regular double-blinded. Okay, so there are multiple instances where you can address that. I can see here, since I'm talking about this in the chat, a question from Charmaine Corbin about the MBA research paper. I think that is closely related to what we are saying. And indeed, you can publish your research paper, but that will all depends on how you want to publish it, okay? Because the journal for the double-blinded peer review, the standard peer review process, it cannot pass like 9,000 words. Okay, so we're talking about, roughly speaking, 18 pages, and it's highly likely that your MBA research work will be more extensive than that. However, we can put in a different category, for example, a practitioner or even viewpoint type of submission, which follows slightly different standards. But, long story short, yes, you can publish your MBA research paper in innovation with us.
Maybe Gabriela can share here the link. What's the link for submissions and the contact for that? So anybody who is interested can go directly there.
Yes, and once you are there, I'm sorry, Arila, just to compliment, there are certain standards that must be following the submission. There are several requirements in terms of how to structure your abstract and so on. But this is all there, the length, the type of submission, and so on. We use Scholar One, which is, a well-known system in academia, and it is all there. So make sure you thoroughly follow the requirements.
I will. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I think we have another question as well from
Yeah.
Zul.
Mrs. Park, feel free to speak.
Good evening. Thank you so much. I think that Ariela is quite aware of my concern and my request. I would like to ask, I reviewed the page of the journal and I wanted to ask, there is a type of the paper as a country or industry practices. So does it really something related more to the practitioners document and like a paper? Why I'm saying that is that in Kazakhstan, we noticed that there is a misunderstanding of innovation as a concept. And subsequently, there is a misunderstanding of an innovation system. So we wanted to publish a sort of paper with one of the quasi government body, the overview as a country's the country or industry practices or something like this. So is it a peer-to-peer review or is it more editorial review, or what would you recommend? Because we can hire researchers, but they're so far from innovation itself, so that I don't want them to misguide the whole paper itself. So, the quite complicated thing, but I'm thinking and talking around this subject for several months already, and I would really appreciate your advice.
Of course, that's a good point. One thing, one distinction is very important. Practitioners' papers, okay? It is not necessarily academic practitioners, okay? It can be professional practitioners. Whoever is a practitioner in that field, okay? And then once that is submitted, yes, it will go through the review. However, the peer review process is different. Okay, it doesn't go through the standard reviewing where, a peer will go in depth in what you are saying. What type of method are you using? Is this suitable for this publication? What is the outcome of your research? How did you develop the statistics or your QDA, qualitative data analysis? How did you discuss the results? What are the conclusions? All the kind of stuff will be watched really closely and very rigorously. However, in the practitioner's manuscript, in the practitioner's submission, we understand that what is going to through is not exactly the same thing. So what we want to focus is, what is the key thing in this type of submission? How closely are you related to innovation processes? Okay, and our journal is innovation science. So we focus in this process, how you measure innovation, how you are developing this type of process. If a practitioner's paper brings that in properly substantiated, then we'll move forward. Okay. And what do I mean by properly substantiated? We don't expect a practitioner to know what is, a Poisson regression or an analytical induction, that type of stuff that is more technical. We won't look at that. We will look at how are you doing what you were doing and how you were providing evidence that what you were doing is not, a guessometer for
Okay.
it's not okay. It popped up my mind and I think that's it, and here it is. No, we want a little more than that. You got to provide the evidence on, okay, what you were doing is, something systematic, has a method behind, and so on. But it's not
Thank
as
you so much.
points
Thank you
that-
so much, because we are planning to conduct a survey among the innovation ecosystem representatives who really claim themselves to be like innovation companies, innovation service providers, and et cetera, et cetera. So in order to understand where we want to go, we want to measure the baseline, the current baseline where we are stating at the moment. So in order to understand that, we wanted to conduct a survey, and but I am afraid that our intention to link it somehow to the ISO 56002 as a recommendation standard might misguide us from the scientific approach to more practitioner approach. However, this is what we are actually aware of. That is why I wanted to know, do you recommend, do you think that it would be like
Oh, yeah.
something acceptable?
Well, of course it will. That's a very good point, Ed. You got a good thing in hands, no doubt about it. Once you run a survey, even if you don't go through the statistics and stuff like that, well, you have to use some level of statistics if you're running a survey, but you can rely, for example, in descriptive statistics. All right. You don't have to go into correlations and testing and all that kind of stuff, which is perfectly acceptable. And if you are running a survey, what is key? Once you submit, put an appendix with your collection instrument. That is, the questions you were asking to the interviewees, to those that are responding the survey. And you have to, you need a certain N there, right? The number of responses to give you validity. If you run a survey and you have, 25 responses, well, that's not really solid. To have academic or, legitimacy for your survey, you need roughly 250 plus. But if you are running on a country level, that shouldn't be a problem. So yeah, that's definitely great, the
Yeah.
direction you're going to.
Yeah, that's the idea that we are going to collaborate with the National Innovation Agency. They are supporting and providing grants, and they have a mandate about the legislation regarding the innovation practices in the country. And that is why they oversee the entire ecosystem. And we've been talking about it since last year, and it's like several thousands of members. And they really want to understand, where are they? Are they actually innovative? Are they following the international practices? And they really look at the GIMI and GIMI partners as the IOP, the journal, as a great source of truth, I would say. So this is what our plans. And I actually contacted Gabriele and Arila several times about that. And this is, inshallah, our plan for this year. So I think that we were going to contact you several times. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for your presentation. Really, really appreciate.
Oh, that is very good to hear. And indeed, you were in the right directions. And well, I am a professional member of GIMI IOIP myself. I'll be more than happy to help on that if needed, and perhaps putting parameters, because key for you will be what type of question you were putting in your survey. Okay. And the question is going to say if somebody is walking the talk. So a lot of companies like to say, hey, we are highly innovative because we have this idea, this or that, or simply use the innovation word as marketing. Okay. But they are not necessarily doing what they say they are doing. And we have means to get to the truth, as you said, by putting the right questions together in a survey. Okay,
Thank you
so
so much.
more than
Thank you.
happy
You
to help
made my
there.
day. Actually, you made my month. You made
Oh,
my
good.
year. Thank you so much.
That is
Thank
good to hear. Count on
Thank
me.
I
Thank,
will, definitely.
thank you, Rodrigo, for the help. Any other question before we move to the next steps?
I see Charmaine with an abstract of your paper. What do you mean? You want to submit an abstract only, or you want us to take a look at your abstract? And okay, I'll
Yes.
be happy to do that. If
Okay.
you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I just say, okay, I'm listening.
All right. One thing that I recommend, go through our, go to TradeWing and get to the journal. Okay. We do have a structured abstract, as we say. There are multiple sections, but the abstract cannot be too long. Okay.
Okay.
Typically, I don't even recall 250 words or so, divided in 4 sections. And
Okay.
yes, I can make an analysis, not through the regular submission process. You can, once you get there, you got my contact information as editor-in-chief or co-editor-in-chief. You can
Yeah.
send me a note through there. Say, hey, editor, is this suitable for publication in your journal? I'll be more than happy to go through it and give my position on that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, perfect. Now I would like to use the opportunity for the ones who are here if you have 3 minutes to do this survey. As I was mentioning, Gabriela, if you put it on the chat, as I was mentioning, as part of GIMI, we want to engage our members more, all the professional members, and some of them already have roles, different roles around different initiatives. So you can volunteer and participate, you can lead, and we have the GISH, Global Innovation Science Handbook, which we are about to basically, I believe we'll launch it and publish next year, but we have started the work. We have the journal, we have the TradeWing, which is the community management platform. We have several committees that we are establishing right now about ISO and other initiatives that you might be futuristic networks of different verticals and other initiatives you might be interested to participate based on your expertise. So we'd like if you can fill out this form so we know what are your interests, and based on that we can basically follow up with you and involve you more in these initiatives. I believe Gabriela, yes, she just put it on the chat. Gabriela, can you make it open for everybody, because they are saying that they can access the survey? I think everybody can right now. Ian, can you have access right now? Perfect. Then if you have any trouble logging in or accessing that, all paid members have access to the journal. So please send an email to Gabriela, as she is the one who is going to help you and give you support on this. If you are not a member and you want to basically access this journal, please go to this link. Gabriela can share this also again in the chat. So you can sign up as a member, join us in TradeWing, and then you can access immediately the Journal of Innovation and Science. That's it from my side. If you have any other last comment, questions for me, Rodrigo, Gabriela?
Just a
No,
quick
we're good.
comment before you wrap up. We're talking about academics and non-academics. I saw a few questions on that. Just FYI, my career was predominantly corporate. I worked for 30 plus years in corporate, and I had my own entrepreneurial endeavors down in Brazil, where I'm originally from. But I worked for many years in companies like Accenture and DuPont in more than 20 countries around the planet. So after retiring from corporate, then I went to academics on a full-time basis. So our journal is focused in both worlds.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo, for clarifying that. Thank you, everyone. Please let us know if you have a question about accessing it, if you have a question about publishing and anything else, please fill out the survey and help us create a more vibrant and active network of members. Rely on us for anything. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. See you in the next meeting. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.